Hello, everyone. This is Teany, Hidalgo, your purpose coach, and today is your dose of high vibe, forward thinking, and revolutionary content that encourages you to discover the passions that lead you to your purpose. And today I have an amazing guest, Yarixa Ferrao, aka Coach Yari. Say hello to everybody.
Hi, what's going on, people of the world?
She's
You
hailing
actually
from LA.
pronounced that. That
I
was a
said it
good
right,
pronunciation. You
Ferrao.
said it right. It's like Yarixa Ferrao. Yeah, that
I
was
like
dope.
rolling my R's, I like it. Exactly. So y'all know this is going to be a fun time because we're already having a good time. So
Okay.
it is all good. So I'm so excited. First of all, I want to tell everyone how I found you because
Oh,
my butt has never looked better.
oh yes. Oh yes.
Oh yes, I found her through her booty boot camp, and we just happened to have a couple of mutual connections. And I was like, "Who is this lovely woman? I have to meet her, and she has to be on my show. I have to have her. She's amazing." So here you are.
Yeah, you put me in your pocket. It's like I have to have her in
Yes,
my
I'm
pocket.
taking you home. I'm
it's
bringing you back
it's
here
Yadi
to
pocket.
I
Totally.
love it. I love it. All right. So before we get into the interview, I want to talk. I want to gas you up just un poquito. Un poquito.
Yeah,
Is that okay? Is that
go
cool?
for it. Yeah.
All right. So Yarixa Ferrao, or Coach Yari, is the founder and creator of Unleash and the SoulBody Method. First of all, I love those names, right? They just like roll off your tongue. She is also a transformative health and fitness personality based in Los Angeles and has been featured on TLC, MTV, Women's Day magazine, and many others. Hey. Her mission is to, oh, this is my favorite part, is to ignite freedom and creativity in others so that they can step into their superpower.
That's
What's
right.
up? That's what's up.
That's
That's what's up. And if you've seen my quotes, I actually posted one of the quotes that I found of yours. And I have to say it because I just thought it was so powerful, if that's cool with you.
yeah.
It's my greatest desire in this lifetime to be free and create freedom for others and bring unity consciousness in an embodied way for humanity. It is my strong belief that we create unity in the world by the embrace of our individuality. That is powerful. I love it. Love it so much. I think
Yeah.
that this world is in such dire need of authenticity and embodiment of their personal power because everyone wants to be like everyone else, right? Everyone wants to be a Kardashian, they want to be whatever, like, right? There's so much of that happening that we need a lot more people who want to be authentic, who want to bring their true selves out. And I love what you do with that. So thank you for what you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think it's okay to be inspired by others, right? Like we can be inspired by somebody else, but it's to ignite whatever the truth within you that wants to come out and play. A lot of times I feel like we're looking up, at somebody and idolizing them sometimes. But it's only because we are being called to rise up in our own gift and we're admiring them because it's easier to admire somebody else than step into your own power. And so, for me, it's my greatest joy to, get people fired up to be themselves. There's no greater way to be because you're so unique in who you are that you are exactly who we need in this world
Yeah.
to catalyze each other and put the pieces to the puzzle together because everyone has a gift. Every single person has a gift to share. And I believe that that's how we create more unity in that way, you know?
Preach, sister. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every one of you is a unique drop in that ocean. Absolutely. So tell me a little bit. Let's start from the beginning because I always love to hear how people get started on this journey. Where did you start? What sparked your journey and fan those flames of this just delicious stuff that you're doing for that transformational work and everything that
Yeah.
you've come to thus far? Like what were the pivot points? What did you experience that got you here?
I mean, I've probably lived about 12,000 years and I've probably been hung and stoned in so many different lifetimes that I figured this one that's not going to occur. And I get to speak my truth and I get to speak my voice and I get to show up powerfully without the repercussions of somebody hanging me or, being put at the stake.
For
And
those
so
of
it
you who
comes
know
from a
about past
long
lives,
time
you know.
ago. It comes from way long ago. And
Yes.
so here I am showed up in this sparkly little package that's built like a little dynamite. And I think that that is part of my gift. And it started because, you know, growing up, I was born in Puerto Rico. My parents were divorced, but I still got to play a lot, and my mom allowed me to just be outside. My mom allowed me to really just play and express, and I used to like ride my bike super fast, go over the speed bumps, like fall really hard, and play tags with my friends, and doble doble 31, and like which is a whole nother thing that I can't remember even what it is, like the Chinese jump rope and whatever games that you can think of. And even climbing to the roof of my house and then jumping off, swimming in the floods, uh, taking showers in the rain. Okay. So I was an express child. I was also very smart, and, you know, teachers wanted to skip me grades, and my mom wouldn't let them because she figured that, you know, I would be like a little too young then once I'm in like college, and she didn't want that for me. So then I moved to the United States at the age of 7. And when I moved to the US at the age of 7 to the mainland, which was in Stuart, Florida first, and then Tennessee later, um, there was that culture shock, right? Because as a Puerto Rican, like, we're very family oriented, very affectionate. We look at people in their eyes. We're probably this close to each other's faces. Um, and so the language was one, you know, I spoke Spanish, I didn't speak English. And then the second part of it is like, I definitely looked very different, coming into especially Tennessee. So I didn't quite fit in. And so I was bullied heavily, and also experienced lots of racism. And so my bright little light definitely dimmed. I began to believe the stories of what other people thought about me, and all I wanted to do was fit in.
Right.
Um, and so I became very introverted and very shy and more quiet, and I wouldn't speak up. Um, and yeah, it got to that place of just shutting myself down completely, until that can only stay in there for so long, because it starts to there's this thing that wants to brew out of that,
It's
right?
a
It's like,
fire.
yeah, it's exactly. And also, like, that statement or saying, or process, that diamonds are created under pressure. And under that pressure of not being seen, of not being who I am, of not speaking my voice, of all of that, then it began to sort of come out. And I was grounded probably a lot of my life between the ages of 12 and
Oh
8,
no.
because I started to rebel here and there when there was rules. And I'm like, but no, but I was grounded for months at a time. And so I really understand what it's like to feel suppressed. I got it. Um, and I started to break through that later on in my life. And one of the breakthroughs was when I was in 10th grade and I had moved back to Miami. There's these two boys in my math class, and they asked me, Yari, why do you look down at the floor when we're talking to you? You know that that's a sign of insecurity, right? And I looked at them and I'm like, yeah, I know. And I looked back down at the floor, and they're like, wait, we're going to practice looking at each other in the eyes until you get over it. And so
Wow.
we practiced. I know these kids were like a little
Hardcore.
evolved. They didn't, yeah, they didn't even know how awesome they were, um, at the time. And, you know, that really started to help me break through. So I practiced with them, and it's probably like 3 days before I started to actually look at people in their eyes, because I had become that shy and introverted that I didn't want to be seen. So I looked down at the floor. And, that's what started the journey. Then health and fitness and, you know, fitness competitions started to come into play around college. And that then led me to a spiritual journey and a spiritual awakening through the desire to have a fit body, because I figured, oh, well, when I have a fit body, then all of these insecurities and all of these wounds, look at me, look how strong I am, then all of it will go away. But it actually was further from the truth. And the
Mm.
truth of it was that it kept me more separate, and it was more isolating. And it sort of created a protection shield and being intimidating. And so there was a lot of that got to occur, that then of course led me to suffering and all the things that I wanted to then break through even further. And so the fitness journey
Absolutely.
continued, and I figured different ways, and understanding that our minds play such a role in how we show up in our manifested form of physicality. Because if you have heavier, denser thoughts, your body will appear heavier and denser. If you have lighter, more joyous, expansive thoughts, then your body will also appear that way. So, helping people through the cognitive and breaking through those thought patterns, and also through the spirit, because your spirit is that which, like, what makes your heart tick, right? What is that thing that lights you up? And when we do more of that, then of course our body also gets to transform, because we're not suppressing it, because we're not keeping it down.
Absolutely.
So it's like, so that took me, and then finally getting to what I feel my dharma is, which is unleash. And that lights me up more than anything in the entire world, and the way that it gets to be expressed and shows up.
Were there several events that happened throughout your life, or was there sort of a culminating, like, okay, this is it, guys. Like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to
Oh,
be
there's so many
myself and I
layers.
don't care.
No, there's so many layers to it, because I
Yeah,
think, as we go, we start to understand the fears that we face at every stage in the game, right? And like, oh, public speaking is so scary for me. I'm fucking sweating my ass off, but I know that I have a message to deliver. Oh shit, I'm gonna go and take like a workshop to public speak, right? And so, in order for us to break through the fears, we got to step into it. We got to face it, because it's really smoke and mirrors at the end of the day. It's just the stories that you've created that have made it such a big deal, that makes you think like, what if I fail? What if I'm not a good speaker? What if nobody wants to hear the message that I have? And we start to create all of these stories that are built up. But in reality, the reason why we have that fear is because that's where our greatest power lies. That's our
absolutely.
gift. It's literally there to show you, hey, your fear is here. Great. Go face that, because that's where your happiness lies. And and so it's like, the more I've gotten to live life, the more I've acknowledged that, what a gift. I'm so happy I have that fear. I can't wait to see what's on the other side of that. Um,
Which is
and
so
so the
counterintuitive.
counterintuitive, but that's the way that we created to make it a more fun game in this lifetime. Otherwise it'd be
That's
dull and
right.
boring. It's like, why even be here if everybody's going to support you? I mean, we have to cast those characters in our lives that play the role of the villain, and play the role of, the suppressor, and whatever it has to be, in order for us to step up, show up, speak our truth, become free, because that's the fun part. It's when you get to break out of that.
Absolutely. Those are the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
love that. And so now, I mean, you've basically revolutionized everything that you've learned and you've embodied into this program that you have. Why do you feel that it's so relevant now? Because I mean, like, you've experienced, and I know a lot of kids experience it throughout their lives. They have to break through on certain levels. Why do you think right now is such a pivotal time?
oof, because now is the time. we, I mean, look at the earth and what's happening. We have fires going on in Australia. We have fires going on in South America, Brazil, that are man-made. We have earthquakes happening currently in Puerto Rico, that we've never really had this many earthquakes ever. So to think that climate change doesn't exist is like, what? Guys, are you paying attention? The reason why this is happening is because that pressure is coming up and is boiling up for
Yeah.
us to change who
Wake up
we're
call.
being. It's a wake up call. It's like Mother Earth is screaming, and we are part of this. And so we're being called and asked to show up differently in how we engage with others, in how we show up for ourselves, in how we can contribute. Um, and of course, this is the time. There is no other time. We're at the brink of this, and what better time than now? Never in history have women even been able to show up the way that we're showing up, without literally
Absolutely.
being hung and stoned, right?
Hmm.
So we are in the perfect time, and we are creating a balance also between the masculine and the feminine. And as we're going about this, it's not to be like that strong feminist necessarily, where like, you are so wrong, and it's not about that. It's just really guiding the light, and shifting the ways
Right.
that we balance each other out, and having the hard conversations. And when we have these conversations, how can we still be compassionate, and how can we be empathetic at the same time? So this thing that has come through me, and is coming through all of us in different ways, right? Because this is just I'm just the channel that I tapped into this energy, because I opened myself up so much that now the energy of unleash, because it's so expansive, it now gets to be in an embodied form, that I get to be the frequency of unleash in an embodied form,
Absolutely.
to be that example of like, oh, that dancing, that's your fear, let's go through it. Singing, that's your fear, let's go through it. Public speaking, let's go through it. Talking out loud in and sharing your truth with your boyfriend, let's do that. Let's talk to your friend about the things that you are not um, super on board with, that
Right.
you've never shared with her before.
How can we
This
crack you open, right?
Yeah, yeah, like this is the time. And I feel like, dancing in specific for me was one of my biggest fears. I didn't dance until the
I
age of
couldn't tell.
35.
Wow.
Yeah. So I took salsa lessons when I was 24, and that was like the beginning of the layers, right? But I was
Hmm.
still safe, because I was being guided and led, and like still sort of in a little bit of box, but it was really helpful to do partner dancing, because you still get to flow in and melt into each other, and go into that surrender state of being. But then I didn't know how to dance by myself, because I was afraid, oh my God, is this too sexy? Is this too much? I'm going to be laughed at, or maybe I don't know how to do that move. And so I held myself back from expressing that. And there's also a lot of, beliefs coming from, like, let's say, just even my mom. And I want to just preface this with, I love my mom. She's amazing. And I thank her every day for raising me the way that she knew how, and she did the best that she could. And there are some belief systems that, close your legs, don't dance that way, because then you're going to look like, you're a slut. Or she didn't say
Right.
it in those terms or anything like that, but more or less that's the messaging. Um, there's a lot of judgment when I was growing up. And so for me, I didn't want to show up in a way that it would be inappropriate,
Did you
or
get judged by your mom and her beliefs that were put on you, or were there actual people who were saying things because you were different in Tennessee and all these things?
so definitely from the bullying, right? So that definitely
Right.
played a role. And then, yes, there's beliefs from my mom that you would just hear, not necessarily to me, but she would say about other people. And so I
Right.
heard these things, and I'm like, oh, I then don't want to do that, because that means that this, right? And so
Right.
we give meaning to everything that she is saying, or even my dad, my stepfather too, and just, I was grounded so much, um, for dressing in a certain kind of way, or whatever it was. And so it definitely suppressed me. And so it wasn't until the age of 35 that my soul, it just couldn't take it anymore. It was suffocating.
Right.
And so then when I danced, when I allowed that moment to happen, it felt like I was dancing in ancient times, like in an African tribe. It just
Wow.
felt like, oh my God, like, what? I can't believe that I've had this inside of me this entire time, right? And so it was almost that awe struck moment for me. And
Yeah.
then at Burning Man, I went. that year. And at the end, towards the end of Burning Man, there's this one guy that shows up, and I was already dancing profusely because I've been unleashed at that point. And then so he comes over. My playa name is Jungle, and he looked like a jungle king. He was a 6'5" man wearing like a little string and then a towel, and we just merged and we danced like it felt like we'd been dancing for 20 years. And at that moment, I dropped to my knees, and my girlfriend looked at me and she's like, "Holy fuck, Yadi, you're going to be in my music video, number 1, and 2, you have to do this for work." And I'm like, "I know." I just don't know
I'm
how.
so glad that you said I know instead of what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm like, because
That's
I
so good.
felt it in
You
that
owned
moment.
it.
Like, I know, but I don't know how, because I'd never grown up as a dancer. I
Right.
didn't have any kind of background, and I'm trying to think very sort of in the box still, like, well, but I don't know how to teach it. I don't know choreography. Like, and I'm like, but I don't know how, but I know I need to do this for work. And so a week after Burning Man, I literally opened up the space in my home, and I
Nice.
don't even know how I did it exactly, but something came through me where I just said, "I'm here to serve, all ego aside. I'm just going to do something I've never done." And I invited women to come to my house to dance, paid $22 each for me to take them through a dance journey that was 2 hours long at that time. And 10 women showed up. And
And you were
and I
like, what
took
just
them.
happened?
Yes, and my friend helped me because I was still a little fearful. And she's like, "Well, I have a dance background, and I'll help you hold the space."
Ah,
And she assisted
need
me in that,
those.
which then gave me the confidence, of course, to do this thing that I'd never done. And after that, the world opened up for me,
Ah,
right? Because then it was cathartic. Like, I had women literally crack open, purging in an emotional way, releasing like they had just found themselves. And that was the moment for me that I was like, "Whoa." And then oh,
is
yeah,
there
this part.
more?
Oh, there's a little bit more. Can I share a little bit
Go
more? Do you
for
want to
it.
hear this
Yes,
part?
please. I want to hear it.
So I did it again, um, a month later. And this time something happened where it didn't quite go as smoothly. And then I started to question myself. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because sometimes, like, we'll get a little, like, bump in the road. And sometimes that makes us be like, "Oh, never mind, I'm not going to do it
Right.
anymore." Right. And something similar like that was happening for me. I was like, "Oh, maybe I'm not meant to do this. Maybe this isn't my thing." And, and, um, and I remember at that point, this one girl at the end, she says, "You know, Michael Jackson wants you to know that he's so proud of you." And I just like smiled and I looked at her and I'm like, I believed her actually,
Yeah.
because
You didn't know if she was channeling
she was
someone.
like energetically dialed in.
Yeah.
And then she's like, and she said a super funny comment. And she's like, "And he also wants you to know that he paid millions of dollars to look like you, and you just got it."
Dang.
And I was like, "Holy shit, that's so fucking true." It's like in his transition, like, yeah, like, "Oh, look, the chin dimple, like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah." And I was like, kind of like, okay, I'm taking that in as a sign, right, for me that I'm on the
Absolutely.
right path. Okay. About a month later, it was my birthday, and I was still questioning this thing of whether I should continue or not. And I decided
Were
to
you having
dance.
fun, though? Were you having
Oh,
fun?
and my birthday?
I mean, like during these activities that you've been doing.
So the first one, yes. The second one, it was like heart wrenching because I felt
Mhm.
like I fucked it up. I felt like, oh no, this is not the way I wanted it to go. And so for me, that was like a little bit of like a recoil, like a sort
Yeah.
of going inward. And then about a month later was like the day of my birthday, and I went to an event, and in this event I just danced, and I was like, I woke up very sad because I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do. And um and after I danced, and this is what happens with dancing. I can go off on a tangent about what happens with dancing and why it's so important. So please note why dancing is so important for me.
I'm with you.
Yeah, hold that right there. But just for the sake of the story, I danced, and then I was really happy and joyful. Mind you, it's sober. Like, I don't have anything. There's a sober event, and I'm playing with confetti on the floor, literally rolling around on the floor with confetti. Okay, that's how liberated I feel that I can do
Wow.
that sober. And so there's this girl that was there. She's like, I want to play. I'm like, great, it's my birthday. Come play with me. She's like, I'm a professional confetti thrower. I'm like, great. And so she starts playing with me. She's like, and I'm like, well, it's my birthday. So she's like, well, what do you wish for your birthday? And I'm like, I just want clarity. That would be great. And I'm like, all right, guys, see you later. I'm going to walk to the other side of the room and see what is going down over there. But thank you so much. I walk to the other side of the room. And as I'm walking all the way to the other side, there's this woman that keeps staring at me. And I keep staring at her. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she walks up to me and then aggressively grabs my arm. And she pulls me in and she says, you're meant to dance. You're meant to take men and women with you. You're meant to perform. And I couldn't leave this room without giving you this information. And you have to do it now, and you have to do it fast.
Ooh.
So it was like a gut-wrenching truth that I knew. And when I asked for clarity of what I wished for my birthday,
You got it.
I got it. And it literally put me down on my knees, and I just started weeping. And
Wow.
then that's really how then Unleash started to take
Oh
place.
my God.
And from there on, I heard a DJ, and I was like, this is men and women. It's not just for women. I'm intended to do this for both. I'm a bridge for both. I do really well with men, and I do really well with women. I'm not intended to I'm here to create unity. So
Yeah.
then I followed that guidance, and then that's how that started to take place. And in my first event, I had 75 people show up.
That's how it's done.
That's how it's done. And now we're about 180 people that show up. And it's been almost 2 years in February. And it's really exciting
And you
because,
do it monthly now, right?
and I do it monthly. And, I did it at Burning Man this past year. I was invited to do it at Burning Man.
Amazing.
And it's just going to continue to go out into the world. And the underlying reason for Unleash is really to help people be in the frequency of freedom and anchoring that in so that they can see that it's safe to be themselves, and
Absolutely.
creating an environment that literally wakes you up to your truth that you've been holding back on because you haven't felt safe to do it. So this, when you're in a space that is conscious, that is intentional, then when you do it, then you can go out into other spaces, and whether it's your work office or it doesn't matter where you're at, that you're going to be more you. You're
Yeah.
going to step
Because
up
once you do it
more.
one time, your body knows it.
Your body knows
Sorted.
it. And your body recognizes also when you're contracting and when you're in states of fear, and like, oh, wait, what am I believing right now that's holding me back? And I'm going to lean into that fear right now because I acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
love it. So first, I want to just step back a couple ticks
Okay,
and just
cool.
honor you for one of the questions I was going to ask you, which is your synchronicities. And I feel like I'm glad you mentioned it because you had so many. And then like you asking the questions and receiving the answers. And sometimes people don't recognize that when they ask the questions, you're going to get the answers. You just have to make sure that you're in tune and that you accept it, because if the answer is coming to you, you can't just be like, no, 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 that she doesn't know what she's talking about, she's crazy. You really have to embrace it. So I honor you for embracing that synchronicity, which was huge for you.
Right. And it's to see the
Yeah,
opportunities when they show up.
absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. And the second thing is authenticity, which we already talked about in the beginning, and bringing yourself out there and helping other people, empowering women and men to be out there. Because I think one of the scariest things, I think what they say, the number one thing people hate is public speaking, right?
Oh,
Which, what does that mean? It means you're in front of 100, whatever many people, right? Like being yourself.
right.
So that's what people fear the most, being like, unloved and being unappreciated and being laughed at and all these different things, right? So what better place to do it than creating a safe space for that kind of interaction and that kind of like manifesting of your pure soul, right? Of who you are in a space of dance, in a space of freedom, right? I love that.
100%. 100%. And because I also stepped into like taking a workshop for public speaking, it prepared me to later on be doing this because I speak in front of people all the time now, right? So I
Yeah,
remember one of the things that was said at the workshop was, if you have a message to share with the world, go to the back of the room, right? And I didn't even have money to pay for it. It was an $8,000 program and I had $500, but because my message and my purpose was more important, I knew that somehow, some way, that money was going to come through and I was able to pay in installments and the rest is history. But
nice.
it's like you even those places of fear where tangibly you don't even have the money right then and there, but to know and trust that the universe is going to provide for you when you make the decision, right? And that's that's the ignition that I want to also bring forth. It's like when you make the decision to do something, everything comes together. You
Absolutely.
will see it coming. And that orchestration will support you in who you're destined to be, right? And it's
Yeah,
and destined to be, when I say that, it seems so finite because the truth is like it's a never ending story. You're never at the end. You're always a continuous flowing creation that, oh, now I want this. Oh, and here's a new desire. And to have desire, there's nothing wrong with desire. Desire is what ignites us to create something new. So it's an evolution. Um,
absolutely.
and yeah, and
Yeah.
and I, one thing I do want to mention on this note, because I want you guys to hear and I want the audience to hear that the other part of my story is that I journaled a lot throughout, probably since I was like 19 years old, writing out my
Mhm.
story consistently. And I wrote it as if it's already happening to me. I wrote it in the present tense consistently and imagined it. I envisioned it. And including, I remember writing, I'm going to be in front of millions of people on a television network and inspiring people. That 3 months after I wrote that, I auditioned for this thing. I had never auditioned for anything on television that was like that large. And I got to be on the show for MTV, and it was I can't even remember the name of the show. I used to be fat and I helped these kids transform, their lives and lose weight and the whole thing. So it was a
Ah,
transformational weight loss show.
I love
But
it.
there's so many layers to my life and this story, but ultimately the things that helped me the most, journaling, um in moving my body. I consistently worked out, right? When you move your body, you move the energy, and in moving the energy, you release a lot of the thoughts and also bring certain thoughts to awareness that you weren't aware of
Absolutely.
before because you're so present and in tune. So the embodiment piece is huge on this. Also aligning myself with foods that nourish me, that align with me, not out of even trying to look any kind of way. This is what I found in my fitness journey, but rather putting foods into my body that make me feel good. And I haven't dieted in over 10 years. I'm just eating in a way that supports me, right? And when your body feels good, there's better thoughts, your spirit is better. So it's from both ends of the spectrum. It's from the spiritual and it's from the physicality
Yeah,
simultaneously. So I
absolutely.
wanted to make mention of the journaling part, and really and stepping into the fears consistently. Anytime you see a fear, lean into it.
So great. So I wrote these things down for people to see it. And so as they start to, assess where they are in their
Mm-hmm.
lives, and the purpose of this whole show is really to get people to go after it, right? Like,
Yeah.
so the question is, how do you do it? Like, what do you think is your first step? I know you journaled throughout time. You obviously are moving your body. There's different things that you have to do to get things moving. But what if, what's step one? What's step one for people, do you think?
Step one is acknowledging where you're at. Okay. Acknowledging how far you've come. Creating this acceptance and love for where you have come. That's number one, being in gratitude. When you write the list of gratitude first, then you get yourself into a better feeling space. After you do that, you create a vision. You go wild in your imagination. Whatever it is that you want to create, whether you want to subcategorize it, that's up to you, like meaning in your health, in your career, in your relationship, and you can subcategorize, the vision in different categories, if you will. But the overall visioning of how you wish to experience your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? I remember at one point I wrote something along the lines, and this was after my divorce. I wasn't happy in my marriage, and I felt confined. And after we separated, I wrote out, I am surrounded by artists, musicians, um, like minded, open minded people that love life, that are go getters, that are adventurers, that, and I wrote this entire thing of how I
I
really
love
want
it.
to show up and experience my life. And I can share with you that I am surrounded by artists, musicians, creatives, entrepreneurs, people that are doing amazing things in the world consistently, because that was the vision I created back then. I didn't have any friends at that moment in time because I had been in this marriage and was only with this person pretty much. So I created it even from scratch because that wasn't my life then. What I'm living now is my dream that I
Right.
wrote a couple of years ago.
Absolutely. I love it. My
So
gosh.
that's the first step, is envision it.
So are you a big fan of like vision boards and,
I'm a fan of
one
that.
one thing I do have to add, and I'm sure you agree to this because I can feel it when you talk about it,
Yeah.
which is, and for those of you who are, who follow the spiritual consciousness, talk, you have to feel it because it's
Feel.
not enough to journal, right? You can write whatever you want, but if you don't really feel it and embody and feel it in your soul, your gut, your heart, right, it doesn't really come true because then it's not true for you, right?
Right.
So I'm
Exactly.
sure.
So when you're
Mhm.
envisioning, right, it's like really envision and feel
Yeah,
that which you wish to create and experience, and not just the characteristics of things, but how you're feeling in it, right? I'm
yeah,
passionate, I'm joyous, I'm playing, I'm, really envision the picture of something that feels tangible in your heart. So if you connect with your heart, it would be beautiful. I think sometimes if we're not connected to our heart, like the reason why I said gratitude is because that connects you to your heart, right? Gratitude always brings you back to the feeling. And if
absolutely.
you decided to not do a gratitude, you can dance first and then do your vision, because that'll bring you into your heart too, right?
Absolutely.
So whatever brings you into your heart is number one. And two is then you create, you imagine, because what you're doing is you're creating a possibility into the field of possibilities that then you get to step into, because guess what's going to happen? What you've written out, all of a sudden you start to take notice of, oh, wait, I just wrote about this. Oh, look at that. Oh, this person's talking to me about the thing that I want an opportunity in. And you're going to get to actually see all the things showing up for you, and then you can act on it, because then is action, right?
Absolutely.
The action part is necessary, and to continue to self-care throughout the process and give yourself what you need, move your body, eat well, take that time in the morning for a ritual, and that's how you continue. And community is huge. To have that level of support system, start engaging more in groups that resonate with who you wish to be.
Absolutely. Writing that as step 4. Absolutely. I love that.
I love how you're organizing this for me. This is great.
We have a couple people
Support.
talking
This is
over here.
support right here.
This is community, girlfriend.
Community. We're convening together for sure, and the audience
Absolutely.
just as much.
We have someone who's saying she makes me want to dance. I signed up for a
Oh,
salsa workout program, so it's perfect timing. I love
yes.
it. Let me tell you something. First of all, I love dancing. And I also started with salsa dancing, and I even performed in salsa
Mm,
dancing. And there's one thing I always say about salsa dancing in particular, because I know that like dancing with yourself, like, just straight, like whatever dancing that you want to do to let yourself out, that's amazing also. But if there's one thing that I felt was so beautiful in a masculine and feminine merger, is salsa dancing.
yes. My
Because
favorite.
it's not just him leading you, it's also you being guided and allowing the flow, which is very feminine, isn't it? And then
Exactly.
it's also you adding your little flares and your little whatever that you do. So it's very creative, it's artistic, it's authentic, because it's you, it's whatever your styling is, it's whatever comes out of you, right? So I love that. Dancing
I
is
and like salsa, I have to say, salsa is, it really does get you to feel the embodiment of, like, when, at least, for a female or playing the female role, because
yeah,
there are men that also can play in the female role.
yeah,
But when you're in the female role, you get to truly surrender into just that allowance, that you're being guided by the structure of the masculine. So the masculine gets to really anchor his role and lead you,
yeah.
guide you, and then you're just there following this lead. And it just, for me, that's the sexiest I feel when I
Me
dance.
too.
It's the
Yes.
sexiest. I feel so in my feminine. So if you ever wanted, whoever's watching, to feel in your most feminine self,
Oh yeah.
I find that salsa is really helpful. It just, yeah, it lets you lose the, on the feminine role, you lose the trying to control anything.
Right.
And you just have to, because if you try to control it, it's not going to work out. Oh, it's
Nope.
not going to work out. So, but
Not
the
only
other
that,
part,
but it allows you to feel safe,
it
right?
allows you to
Because
feel
you
safe.
have to allow your partner to take care of you while you're
Yeah.
dancing, right?
Yes, and that is such a beautiful dynamic of, like, what feminine and masculine feels like, right? Your masculine helps you feel that level of safety, because we're so wild, and it's such a beautiful balance. I
Yes.
absolutely love it. And as far as, that place of vulnerability of, like, let's say in the shines, right? Sometimes, um, if you're not comfortable with moving explicitly because you're afraid to, like, make that look bad or whatever, that's where the self-expression of dancing ecstatically in other places can allow you to shine in the salsa dance even better, because you let go so much that when you're there to shine, oh, you're gonna shine. And It's such a beautiful process. It really
Now
is.
I have to come hang out with you, and we're gonna go salsa dancing together.
Oh,
That's it.
oh,
It's a wrap.
100%. Please, let's do it. Yes, yes, yes. I'll go to New York and you come to LA and it's going down.
Done.
Great.
Done.
You dance on the one or on the two?
Both. Whatever you
Great.
want. I'll do whatever you want. I learned it on one. I learned it on two. We do two here in New York in
Yeah,
Mambo,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I learned it on one also. So I
Oh,
do it all. All good.
okay.
Okay, so in terms of like personal practices, because you know, life gets crazy sometimes and the shit hits the fan.
No.
Sometimes, things happen. So, what do you recommend for people? Obviously, dancing is super. I mean, and like, I haven't gone dancing in a minute. I'll grant it. I really need to go. But like, what do you do now when the shit hits the fan and you can't go and dance and like you're at work or, like, what do you recommend for people to help guide them into a better state of relaxation and
Breathing,
yeah.
breathing. And there's different techniques, right? I find my favorite way that'll drop me in very quickly into just more level headed and my stress level goes down and also very just clear is Wim Hof breathing. And that's a particular style which this man named Wim Hof created. He's called
How
also
do
the
you spell that?
Iceman. WIMHOF. And that style of breathing, because you're getting so much oxygen, it's like 25% more oxygen into your body, and you're doing it, you can do it through your nose or mouth. I tend to do it through my mouth, and it looks like this, and I do that
Interesting.
about 30 times. And in the last breath of that, I exhale all of the air out. So on my 30th breath, I go, let it all out. I don't breathe. I hold that as long as possible. And then I breathe all the air in whenever I need to breathe. Hold that as long as possible. And in one cycle, you're going to already feel better. 2 to 3 cycles of that. And that takes maybe like, I don't know, 5 minutes if you do 2 cycles. It's super easy. You can
Bad.
do it in your home. You can do it in your office. Like, obviously, if you're working in an office, it's a little harder to just start getting up and like you're shaking it and dancing. That's very
Although
rare,
I wish every office had that
but every
option.
office should have that ability, right? And like this is where we're getting to. It's like, how can we create corporate spaces that allow us to extend our legs and move our bodies a little bit more? Because whenever we do that, we're gonna have more clear-headed thoughts come through. It's when our mind is in this crazy chatter
Yeah.
that a lot of the worry comes in, the cloudiness of it all. And when we move our body, we're able to anchor back into our heart, and then we'll have clearer thoughts. Or when we breathe, you're going to have a more clear thought come through for you. So anytime you're like feeling stuck, that's one of the ways that I would recommend. That's easy. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Love it. Love it. So, what do you think is the future of this? I mean, like we kind of started talking about, you know, corporate.
Yeah.
And like, corporate is going to be a while because I know some of them are starting like to incorporate meditation and yoga
Yep.
and like,
Yep.
they're getting started, right?
They're
Green
getting
juice maybe.
started.
So what do you think is the future of like these events and maybe future programs?
The future, it's like dancing like this is literally going to go beyond, I think, even what yoga has done. Yoga has spread worldwide, and it's a fantastic practice. And dance, what I love about dance is that it's a very communal practice, right? It's because in on the yoga mat, you're sort of going inward with yourself in that yoga mat. You don't have a lot of like necessarily interaction with others, right?
Right.
And also, it's a structured form as well. There's a lot of structure where the non-linear movements of dance bring you to non-linear ideas and non-linear creative ideas that get to come through. because of the way that you're moving your body as well. And it also brings you into high states of joy really fast, right? When you dance, I don't know many people that are dancing and feel unhappy, right? Unless there's of course the fear of dancing that would create a sort of anxiety or something like that. But once you start getting over those humps, it only creates a high level of joy and playfulness and expansion. And in the high vibration of it having masses of people in a space, this is more impactful because more people are going to be willing to dance and play than necessarily going into yoga. So this is the future of the movement that we'll get to be in. It's a non-linear way. It's
Yeah.
fast too. It drops you in fast. Um, yeah, it's
And
just
also,
amazing.
it makes your inner child happy, doesn't it?
Course, your inner child, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's like it's playful, it's joyful,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, fun, like I get to do whatever I want. And as we do this sort of environments where people can just dance however they want to and it not necessarily look in any kind of way and just give you the freedom of expression, then you'll get to play more. I have people crawl on the floors. Sometimes I'll have like the 150 people that are attending or 200 people like do twerking on the floor, just to like let's normalize twerking. Let's just allow for all of us to experience, instead of, sometimes when we go into spaces, somebody will be like twerking and you'll look at them but you won't engage because you're afraid to do that. So what I get to do in these spaces, like, oh yeah, you're scared, let's all do it. Great. So that way, since everybody's doing it, it's less scary. It's less scary
Absolutely.
if everyone's doing it.
I
And
think
then
we should
after
all
that,
twerk it.
right, like after that, you're able to move. And also, a lot of the music that I get to use, and this is really important, is this sort of like sexual grounding type of music that moves your hips. The sexual shame that we've been carrying for so
Oh my God.
long
Yes.
is stuck in there. And in order for us to move through that, I particularly bring a lot of sounds that bring us down here. Not so much, there's some up here, but I ensure that in Unleash, it allows you to tap into your sexy side, your sensual side, your playful side, the primalness of it, because that's how we come back to our most natural state of being. And when we release the shame, we can actually be more cohesive, even with like men and women combined. The space that I've gotten to create, and I'm so grateful for at Unleash, is and I say I, but it's really a we. It's really an entire team of us that are there holding the space. I just get to sort of anchor and be the frequency of like, I get to show up super free. So at one point, I ended up my nipple covers weren't sticking. So like, oh, okay, well that's happening. And I asked one of my what I call bedazzlers, because we bedazzle people and we paint you up and the whole shebang when you
I'm
first
so
arrive.
coming. I want to be bedazzled.
Great. So she bedazzled my nipples, and it was just like I just had glitter on. And when the women were coming in, they looked at me and they're like, "Oh, can I do that too?" And I was like, of course, this is Unleash. Of course, you can do whatever you want. But the space was so safe that literally there was no sexualizing from the men's end. It was the way that it's done feels like you can truly be free without being sexualized. And it doesn't mean that you're not expressing in your sexual primal ways. It just means that you're not being targeted as like, I want that, right? And it feels very different to just express that part of yourself that most of the times we don't get to do, because we know that if we go to a club, it's looked at very different. But once you get comfortable
Absolutely.
with that part of yourself, you can actually do that, and you're going to be looked at very different in the ways that you show up to a club. So the sexuality piece is really important, that we get to release that shame around, because there's nothing wrong. It's actually very innocent for us to allow our sexuality to play out.
I love that. And it's such a great release to allow that to just
Oh my
get out
God.
there, right?
Yes.
It's so great.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So what do you tell people that question the power of this work? Because I do believe that dance is so cathartic. It's for your body, it's for your mind, it's for connection, it's for your spirit, it's all of that. What do you tell people that question that work?
I have them come do it. You know,
Yes.
I haven't personally, I haven't experienced too many people question the work. I did go to I was invited to go to what's called a Hive Global Summit, and it's 65 different countries from all over the world of CEOs and, these leaders of companies, and just leaders in their field, in different parts of the world. And so there were probably there more like a little skepticism around it, but because they came into a space that, well, we're working on our inner self, they participated and quickly found out, like, oh, this is really powerful.
Right.
Like, so I feel like the more people get to experience it, and if there's something that, specifically, if you feel like you're being held back, like you're not living your full self expression, that there's something more that inside of you that wants to come out, I invite those people to lean into that edge and come check it out and see what happens, because the only way in is through. So you can't really read about a push up and know what a push up feels like or what it's going to do to improve your pecs and your arms. You have to experience it to know it.
Absolutely.
So this work is also very scientifically documented. There is a lot of studies around dance and how it helps people with Alzheimer's, and like rewire the neurons, and all of that is very scientifically documented. And now it's going to start to about ecstatic dance, just meaning like free form dancing. There's going to be more studies around that coming out too.
Nice.
But overall, yeah, this is this is known already.
That's amazing. And I can't wait because I know we talked about like corporate, but I feel like it's going to be more of that because
Oh,
we're,
more.
we're just getting started. You know what I
We're
mean?
just
Like
getting started.
more of that is coming out there. So what do you recommend for people who want to find more purpose, more meaning, and more passion? Do they start with dance? Do they start with journaling? Like, what do you think their journey looks like?
I feel like it's different for everyone. Um, it's not one size fits all for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that for people wanting to, let's say, find their passion, sometimes it's necessary that we do go to somebody that can help us do that too. I think that coaching is essential. Sometimes we don't know, and there's a lot of questions to ask ourselves to then get to that root of, well, what is it? Because if there's blockages that are so subconscious that you're not able to even detect, that's where like someone can come and help. So even if it's like, oh, I think I might need coaching around this, that's like an awareness that you have. Like you're like, oh, I might actually need help in this. Just knowing I need help,
Right.
please ask. Like the that's what we're here for. If something goes down with my plumbing, I am going to not try to fix it myself necessarily. Okay, because that's not my area of expertise. I'm going to call a plumber to help me with my plumbing, right? And so that's
Right.
one of them. The other thing is, yes, we can do practical things, right? To get us more in touch with ourselves, try new things. right? Oh, that's new. Does that like feel like something that you've always wanted to do, but you haven't done it yet? Sign yourself up. Go do that thing that you've always wanted to do and you haven't done yet. Journal, vision, dance, of course. Moving your body will always get you more connected to your heart. And when you continue to inquire for yourself, you're going to get answers. Keep
Absolutely.
asking the questions.
I love how assured you are. I love it. One of the ladies on here says, I see her doing motivational dancing videos. Hey, maybe that's in your future.
I mean, I think that's possible. You know, I've been thinking about doing this, and you know, I think Unleash is happening out here in LA, and I do believe that it is going to go out. You know, I'm creating a business plan for it to actually go out into the world and take it. New York, that's going to come soon.
The Bronx.
I definitely want to take it to New York. I'm so excited about that. And yeah, and then I get to also help people in different ways. Like, you know, I do breakthrough sessions, for instance, for people, right? To like whether
Wonderful.
they don't know about their passion, or they are working on a passion project but are stuck in a particular step, like they don't know the next step of how to
Right.
then get there. Um, Breaking people through fears and doubts and insecurities, because I've lived it. I've coached people since I was 19 years old, and I walk the talk, right? And I feel like videos are definitely in that light. Haven't gotten to it yet, and that's okay. Like one step at a time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm excited about that. Thank you to this woman who just suggested that too.
Yeah. It's going to happen, girl. It's coming.
It's
Coach Yari videos.
for sure, 100%.
So, how can people reach out to you, with what you do, all the different areas? And you do a lot of different things. So, how can people reach you?
So, Coach Yari on Instagram, that's one way. If a person knows that they want to have a consultation with me, then they can go to calendly.com/Yarixa. Calendly.com
Yep.
forward slash Yarixa.
Calendly is great. I use it
Yeah,
all.
and they can schedule a 20-minute complimentary consult if they already know that they need help. Coach Yadi is my personal IG page. There's also Unleash Movement IG page, and that one shows you all the footage and the dance. And January 12th is my next one, and it's called Visioning 2020. And everyone has a theme. Everyone is very intentional, and through every unleash that happens with each theme, it's like new breakthroughs happen. So I'm actually unleashing every single time in a very accelerated way because of how I get to show up for people for particular things. And if there's
Yes.
anything that's obstructing me, I will definitely be shown before the event happens. And so it's literally it's some next level stuff. I would say that Unleash is a modern day ceremony, really. um
I love that.
yeah, yeah.
So, it's as much of a ceremony for you as it is for the people who participate. And I love that because, people think, oh, you're a coach. You don't got nothing going on.
Oh
You done. Your process
no,
is done. You're helping others now. No, no, my
no,
friend.
actually. Because you are almost like the trailblazer. It's like, you, at least in the way that I show up, I don't know that this is like this for everyone, but for the way that I do it, it's like I can't talk about something unless I know it. And um and so for me, if I am the embodiment of Unleash, that means that I'm choosing to everything that feels constricting or out of integrity with my truth, I get to face it every time, so that I show up authentically to my truth, because this is the role that I'm playing. And that's why I get to help people in such an authentic way, so that they get to show up in their truth.
Yeah.
um yeah, so
You got to do the work to teach the work. Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
for us, it's definitely not easier. No, it's not easier.
No,
It's we're doing the work just as much as everybody else, right? And we're catalyzing people
absolutely.
into their work, and then they're catalyzing people into their work, and that's just how it goes.
Absolutely. And on a fun little question, when someone's asking who's her favorite music artist for her dance, she wants to put it on iTunes.
Oh, my favorite music artist. That's interesting. There's this song that you should play that would definitely get you moving your body, and I don't know the artist, but it's called Boom Boom Dum Dum. So it's
T A M T A
BUMBUM
M.
TAM.
Got
Look
it.
that up. I'm pretty
Is
sure.
that a salsa song?
No,
Sounds
definitely
like
not a
one.
salsa song. No, no, this is more like a Brazilian funk.
Ooh, I like Brazilian music. Ah,
Yeah, it'll get you to feel. It's like one of those feeling your hips and your groundedness and like that type of music. And yeah, like I encourage you and
nice.
maybe challenge you to go try that on.
Oh, it's gonna happen, girl. I'm gonna get it right after this call. Love it.
Okay.
I'm curious just because I've practiced other modalities like energy work and massage and whatnot. Do you practice? Have you practiced and have you received other types of work?
Um, yes.
To
There
which
are, yeah, there's so many modalities. So I do I do neurological work as well, right? To um correct imbalances in the body. So that's one of the things I get to also do for people. There is energy work that I also get to do for people. Um, and it's more of an intuitive, guided sort of work and embodied work. Sometimes I'll take people
nice.
through dance and stuff like that, which moves the energy. But the I've done ayahuasca. So plant medicines, I've definitely dove into that since I was 28 years old, and that really opened up a world for me, and I was ready to receive that at that time. And so that was 10 years ago when that occurred. I didn't work with the medicine again until about 5 years later, because in my asking of what I wanted to, my intention setting for that was, I want to know everything. And and I got so much information. um,
Overload.
it was like I had to integrate. It took me 5 years to feel like I integrated that information into my system. I believe in plant medicines, and when done in a ceremonial space with
Yep. In a
shamans that really
safe way.
do it
Yep.
in a safe way, that you're being led and guided by people that really understand this ancient wisdom that has been passed on. And other energy forms are acupuncture. I've done bioenergetics. Um, I've I've gone into I've done wachuma, which is a different plant medicine, and that's more of a masculine medicine, which
Mm,
is more in the body. Ayahuasca takes you more up here, where this makes you sort of really feel the connection with everything and everyone, and that there is no sense of separation. And I
wow.
feel like, you know, it's also a frequency in how you work with the medicine. Too much, it's like you're going to expand in a way that if you keep trying to stack one on top of the other because you think that you're missing information, you're going to get yourself into a hole because you're not integrating and embodying, and then you can go into a series of depression, or you can, like, because your body
Right.
hasn't caught up to the information that is so vast. The universe is vast, and so if you want to
Absolutely.
know all of this, it's like you got to take it one step at a time. And this is why dancing is such a also safe way of opening up those same channels, and it's done in a way that it is a spiritual practice, just like yoga and just like meditation, but it's not as fast. And and yeah, so there's so many different modalities, chiropractic.
Yeah.
I feel like I've done so much, I can't even list them all. Um, but yes, I believe in the modalities that are calling you forth.
Yeah.
Whatever it's calling you,
Experiment.
tune in, pay attention, see if it keeps calling you. It's like, okay, cool, okay, that's showing up in my field.
Yeah, yeah. Or tools, like, like one of the people on the call, she has a vision board tool. So things that will help you, stay on your journey, stay on your purpose, things that help you. Absolutely.
Exactly. Vision boards are amazing. I
Love it.
really believe in writing and vision boarding 100%.
Love it. Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I wish for everyone this year crystal clarity, focus, and may everyone receive exactly what they need so that they can step into their fullest power and potential of their being that is so needed in this world. That is my final thought.
Ah, I love it. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You can
You're
find,
amazing. Can I just say how amazing you are?
oh,
Yeah.
bless
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, my pleasure. You embody the work that I want to be out there in the world 100,000 fold. So I bless you. I appreciate you and I honor you for the work that you do, for what you're putting out there. If you guys want to find her, you can find her on Instagram on Unleash Movement or at Coach Yari. And the soulbodymovement.com is her website. And we'll put all that down below. So don't worry about that.
Yep.
And thank you. Thank you all for joining us. And thank you, Yari. Please, thank you. Come back.
Thank you, love. Have a good night. Mwah.
I can't wait to see you at Unleash. And I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you guys on the Passionful side next week. Bye, guys.
Yay. Bye.